Hey guys. Okay, so some of the videos that I refer to the most when it comes to replying to initial email inquiries are the How to Date a House video series. Now, I recorded those videos a good few years ago, and a lot has changed within this space since then. I mean, for one thing, my knowledge has improved massively within this space. I know so much more in this space now than I did back then. But more importantly, a lot of the websites that I actually refer to in those videos have iterated or changed over time. So unfortunately, a lot of the stuff that I say in those videos, doesn't quite match up to what you see on those websites today. So I thought, hey, you know what? The time has finally come. The time is to do some updated videos on how to date a house. Now, in today's video, I want to focus on how to work out whether your house is pre-1947. So was it built in or before 1946? Now, why do you need to care about this? Well, if your property is in the traditional building character overlay and if it was built in or before 1946, then it is protected. And the kicker is, it's not up to council to work out whether it's protected, it is up to you guys because it is an applicant-driven process. So let's jump behind the computer and let me show you how I do this. Okay, so what you need to do first and foremost is go to Brisbane City Council's interactive mapping. Now, if you've never had to play around with the interactive mapping program before, go to our YouTube channel, go to the online videos playlist and check out the video where I talk about how to access and use the interactive mapping program. But once you're there, what you basically need to do is search for the property and then turn on the 1946 aerial photo. Now, there's three possible outcomes that you can get here. The first is that the site is vacant, you can't see a house inside. The second is that the house is there, either in its original form or its modified form, or the third option is that it's a different house there today than there was back in 1946. Sounds really easy, right? Yeah, unfortunately, it's not that easy. So I've got 4 different examples here open in front of me that I want to show you guys just to highlight how squiff or off course things can go during this process. So this first example here, we've got the 1946 aerial photo turned on, jump across to 2021. What you'll see is the exact same house is there between both of those photos. Same outline, same ridge lines, same proportions, everything. I wish they were all like this. Like, my job would be so much easier if they all looked like this. The reality is sometimes you get this sort of scenario. So if you go to the 2021 photo, you'll see the house is in the middle of the middle of the property boundaries. 1946, no house in the middle of the property boundaries. It's still the same house as we've got over here. Unfortunately, the 1946 aerial photo very rarely actually lines up with the property boundaries, so you need to sort of look either side a little bit. Also, you need to account for the scenario of the house being picked up and moved sideways at some point during the history. So yeah, don't look at this sort of scenario and go, oh, the house, it's not in the middle anymore. It's still the same house. This is my least favorite scenario. This is a blurry photo. So sometimes the planes were going through clouds, all of that sort of stuff, and it becomes very hard to work out, is it the same sort of structure? So what you have to do in this sort of scenario, if you go to the 46 aerial photo, you'll see there's a bit of a step there. You go to 21, we've still got that step. What I like to do most of the time is look at the front alignment of the other houses nearby and jump and see, are they generally lining up? Is it same? And then the final example I want to show you here, and this is not the best example. I was racking my brains this morning to think of a better one, but unfortunately I couldn't come up with anything better, so we work with what we've got, is a house that's been heavily modified. So you look at this scenario and you go, oh, is that the same house? So again, like I mentioned in the other examples, you start to look for proportions, alignments of structures, ridge lines, all of that sort of stuff. So in this scenario, you can see you've got the ridge line coming across and then down, and then you've got another one coming to the side. And here we go across, down, and another one to the side. So it's the same house, it's just been heavily modified over time. Okay, so if the house is visible in the 1946 aerial photo, then you have your answer. It's black and white. The house was built in or before 1946. However, what happens if you look at that aerial photo and you can't actually see the house? What does that mean? You guys are probably sitting there just going, oh, it means it's post 46, right? Yeah, it's not that easy. Unfortunately, there's a few more steps you've got to go through. See, there's 3 different scenarios that could play out if that's what you're looking at. So first and foremost, and obviously the option people are hoping for if they're looking to do demolition work, is that it is genuinely a post-1946 structure. However, the 2 other options that could play out here, first and foremost, it could have been built in the second half of 1946. So you need to keep in mind that that aerial photo we were looking at was taken in, I think it was May 1946, and technically speaking, the cutoff date for protection is December 31st, 1946. So yeah, there's basically a good 6 or 7 months there where the house could have popped up and it wouldn't be showing in that 1946 aerial photo, but it would still be protected. And you need to keep in mind that back in the day, it was very quick for these houses to sort of pop up. They could pop up within a 3-month period. And I guess it makes sense when you consider how small they were and how basic these houses were. So yeah, that's the second option. The third option is that it could be a pre-1947 relocator. So it could have been built elsewhere in the city prior to 1947, but post-1946 it's been picked up, moved elsewhere and put onto the subject property. Unfortunately, I say unfortunately because it's a pain in the backside to decipher and to work out, but unfortunately those houses or those dwellings hold the same level of protection as a house that was built on the exact same property. So when you dive into a planning scheme, what you'll work out, long story short, is that the wording that talks about protection focuses on when the structure was built, not when the structure was built on the property. So what do you do from here? Well, the next step in this whole house dating process is to jump onto Q imagery. Now, I won't dive into how to do that today. What I'll simply say is if you want to know more about how to access that website and use that website, go to our online tools playlist within YouTube, because I did do a video and it's contained in that playlist, which talks about how to access that website, navigate through that website. But essentially what you want to do when you're on that website is you want to find the next aerial photo in the sequence after the 1946 aerial photo. It's typically going to be the 1949 aerial photo or the 1951 aerial photo. Now, if the house is visible in that aerial photo, okay, odds are starting to increase that it could have been built in the second half of 1946. However, if the house is not visible in that next aerial photo, okay, it definitely wasn't built in the second half of 1946, but it could still be a pre-47 relocator. A prelocator, that's a good new term, right? Anyway, what do you do from there? Well, the next step in the process is basically get your hands on the building cards. So from 1945 onwards, council started keeping these records of construction around the city. They're really light on, they're really a bit dodgy, don't bank on them, but technically speaking, there are the building cards. Now you can access them through two key ways. The first way is to go to Brisbane City Council's archives and actually go in and view the cards that way, or the second option is to do a paid building search, which costs, I think it's just over $200, which you can do through Brisbane City Council's website. So just Google like building searches, BCC or something like that, and it will come up. So basically you go in there, you have a look at those cards and you work out, okay, is there any notations to explain when was the house put there, how, or was it a relocator, all of that sort of stuff. Now, how far do you go in this process? Like obviously this is sounding very onerous to step through all of these steps. I need coffee this morning. But how far you go, for me, depends on two things. Firstly, what's the purpose of this task? Like, are we trying to, does the client want to purchase the property specifically to demolish the house so they can build a new house? Would they not be purchasing that property if they couldn't go down that pathway? Okay, if that's the case, I'm going deep on this. Like I'm diving right there, going into the building cards and going further to try and prove that it is not a pre-1947 structure. However, if they just sit there and go, oh look, we're just going to raise it up and close under, or just do a carport in the future, I'm probably stopping back at the Q imagery. I'm not getting to the building card stage. I'm going to sit there and just go, oh guys, yeah, close enough, good enough, just a heads up, it could be proven to be wrong down the track type thing. The other thing I'm looking at is it giving me pre-1947 vibes? Now, warning here, not all pre-47 houses look like pre-47 houses. Now, I want to take you guys back to the computer now just so I can show you some examples of what I mean. Okay, so I'm very quickly going to run you through 5 examples of houses which are pre-1947 structures, but that do not look like pre-1947 structures. So this first one I've got open here in front of me, it's got a tile roof. The windows are off to the side as opposed to being centered on the facade, I should say. There is no front veranda in sight. Similar sort of thing here, windows off to the side, no front veranda in sight, but in this instance, instead of having a timber facade, it's got a rendered facade. This is my favorite example. Again, tile roof form, brick this time, no front veranda. The house did start out with a front veranda, but it doesn't have one today. This example here, this is a street in Newmarket. There's a whole cluster of these streets in Newmarket of houses which have tile roof forms, rendered and brick facades. Like they just do not ooze the tin and timber vibes that we're used to seeing. And then the final example, this one actually started out life as a tin and timber Queenslander. Unfortunately, it experienced a fire many years ago and it almost burnt to the ground, and they rebuilt the facades with the brick and rebuilt the roof with tiles. So yeah, hopefully this shows you that you can't actually judge a book by its cover. Now, hopefully that gives you guys a bit of insight into how to work out whether your house is a pre-1947 structure. Hopefully you can see it's not a linear, straight sort of process. There's a lot of different pathways you can go down. And the cold hard truth, and I hate it when this happens, but the cold hard truth is you can sometimes get to the very end and not know the answer. So then you've got to sit there and go, okay, what's the purpose here? Does this suit my purpose knowing this answer? It gets messy, it gets frustrating. Anyway, that covers up everything I want to talk about today. As I always like to say, until next time, thanks for watching.
For all you red tape lovers out there, I have one thing to say. Well, no, actually, I've got three. Number one, the advice provided in these videos is general in nature. It's not site specific. You would be a silly Billy to go and make financial decisions based on this advice without first checking with the town planner. Don't be a silly Billy. Number two, Brisbane town planning is in no way linked to Brisbane City Council. The views expressed in these videos are my own, not council's. So if you don't like them, blame me, not council. Number three, what was my number three? Oh yeah, the views expressed in these videos are accurate at the time of recording. If you're watching this video back 10 years from now, the views may not be so accurate. That's all. Bye.